How is everyone this morning?
Great.
Hooray for those of us who are not in Oregon. Yay! So our topic this morning is When God is Good and Ready. And let me tell you how I got this title. It is frequently the case that I am thinking about divine right time, how everything unfolds in divine right time. And I write about it a lot. So I was writing about it yet again for the August issue, my article in Creative Thought magazine. And I thought, how can I call this something else and disguise it so no one will know? It's divine right time again. So I called it When God is Good and Ready. Because what came to mind was a story from a few years ago, actually quite a number of years ago, when a very dear friend of mine was expecting twins. And it was the middle of summer, and her belly had grown to absolutely immense proportions. It was out here. And it just seemed like the babies would never come. So I took lunch over to her house one day. She couldn't sit at the table anymore, much less go to a restaurant. So I took some salads, and we were eating, and I'm looking at her in all her glory. And I put my hand on the swell of her abdomen, and I just looked at her and I said, "Well, what do you think?" And she said, "I think these babies will arrive when God is good and ready." And I thought, man, I like my God so much better than hers. I mean, there she was with these huge swollen feet and sweat dripping down her face. And I'm thinking, yeah, my God is better than her God. But in truth, there's only one, right? There is only one God. But in that moment, I was so delighted that my understanding of God did not bind me to a force outside myself over which I had absolutely no control. I know that it's an inside job. So later that day, I copied a few pages out of the Science of Mind textbook for her. Did you all know that there's a section on obstetrics? Yeah. Practitioners, if you work with any pregnant ladies, you might want to look that up. In the chapter entitled Physical Perfection. And in it, Ernest Holmes writes, "We know that no idea of God ever comes too soon or too late, but always at the correct time." And this is so true. A couple of days later, my friend delivered 2 beautiful, healthy baby girls who have since grown into 2 beautiful, healthy young women. So divine right time. This concept is not foreign to us. We're introduced to it early on in our development as metaphysicians. But for those of us who were raised in traditional belief systems, I have to caution that it's not the same thing as when God is good and ready. Many of us were raised in religions where everything occurs according to God's will and on His timeline. There's divine right time in our teaching, and it's not the same thing as when God is good and ready. What it does mean is that the thing we desire already exists as a perfect idea in the mind of God. It's all set to manifest in our experience at exactly the right time because God is always good and God is always ready. In this passage, in the textbook, Dr. Holmes continues, "Creative law within you performs every right action at the right time, and it synchronizes all impulses toward the event." Whatever that event may be. It could be anything that is getting ready to unfold in your life. See, we are living in God's time, whether we realize it or not. And once we do realize it, what then? How do we best apply this knowledge? I would like you to consider what it would mean to synchronize your life with the life of Divine Spirit. What would that look like? If you were to synchronize your life with the life of Divine Spirit, what would that look like? Maybe a little different than it looks now. Maybe a lot different than it looks now. In any case, if we do this, we will be transformed. We'll be transformed by our willingness to align with the principle of divine right time completely and unconditionally. Khalil Gibran wrote, "Time has been transformed and we have changed. It has advanced and set us in motion. It has unveiled its face inspiring us with bewilderment and exhilaration. Isn't that beautiful? Now, can we transform time? Or does time transform us? I think the answer is yes to both. So transforming time and being transformed by it means bringing everything into the now. It means that we are fully present, fully centered right here, and that we're grateful to be right here. See, this transformation, this synchronization with the infinite requires our attention to and understanding of 5 pertinent points. For those of you who like to have points to take home, here you go. We got 5. The first one is, what we are seeking is simultaneously seeking us. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago who gave me permission to share her story. She's in another part of the country, and she's kind of church hopping right now, going from Science of Mind Center to Science of Mind Center and not quite finding a fit. So last Sunday, she went to someplace she hadn't been before, and it was probably not the best Sunday to attend there because the minister was on a rant. And I guess it didn't occur to the pastor that she might have new people, right, attending that Sunday. So she was complaining about people not participating, people not giving enough money in the collection plate. She was on a rant. But one thing they did do that my friend appreciated was they passed a basket around for everyone to put their prayer requests in. And my friend requested patience. And then they passed the full basket around and asked everyone in attendance to take out a request, even the new people. And my friend took out someone else's prayer request for patience. What we are seeking is simultaneously seeking us. I can remember in my early days as a metaphysician trying to understand the notion that every idea we have comes complete with everything needed to accomplish its manifestation. I can remember my prayer practitioner trying to explain this to me, to drum it in my head. He would say that it's impossible for us to have a desire that does not already contain the ways and means to bring it about. Our finished product, if you will, has already been created. It's a very real thing, and this thing is complete and ready to go. I discussed this a few weeks ago in my lecture entitled The Cosmic Counterpart. If you weren't here and you didn't get to hear it, go watch it on YouTube. I highly recommend it. It's a really good adjunct to what we're talking about today. So we have to align with the concept that what we want is not random. We want it because it already exists at the level of divine mind. Otherwise, we could not conceive of it in the first place. It's already there. This is how we have a notion of it. This is how it enters into our imagination. It already exists. It already exists, and it is looking for us because it wants to materialize in form. We want it, and it wants us. Whatever we're looking for is looking for us. Many of you know that back in the fall, around November, I rescued a kitten that had been abandoned right here in the parking lot of the center, and she was absolutely adorable, and that cat has a consciousness, let me tell you. She was determined to find a home, and she was really working it. On Monday nights, she was here for class, and she actually jumped in the truck with Glenn, who is a cat person, and he almost took her home.